Good evening, one and all, and welcome to the Toon Review. Apologies for last night's show being cancelled, but it was out of our hands. I received a lot of messages from fellow YouTubers who were trying to stream yesterday and said they had nothing but problems. And of course, that happened to me and Billy not long ago, where we had to cancel the show halfway through because we were just getting the spinning wheel of death. So we decided to put it back 24 hours and just make sure that everything was fine with YouTube streaming. And so we weren't going to have any problems bringing a show to yourselves tonight. I realize, the game was Saturday. It's now Monday night, but we haven't spoke about it in detail. Of course, Billy and Alex did their instant reaction over on our Patreon page. If you haven't seen that, it's halfway down the page or in the description. To be a patron of the Toon Review, and you can listen to extra podcasts that you won't get on here. Now, if you do like tonight's show, as usual, give it the thumbs up, guys. We have been doing really well with likes over the last few shows, so thank you very much. If you are new to the channel and like what you see, please do subscribe, free to do so, and also hit that notification bell, which will notify you when we schedule our live shows or we upload any recorded videos. You can donate to the channel as usual if you do so wish tonight by hitting the $ at the bottom of the live comments. That will also get your comment read straight out as well. And you can become a member of the Toon Review, which so many people have done over the last few weeks, by hitting the join button just underneath the 3 of our ugly mugs. Good evening, fellas.
Good evening. Happy Halloween Eve.
Happy Halloween indeed. Now, by the way, mentioning Halloween, guys, of course, Alex did say last week that he was looking for people to design some pumpkins of the 3 of us. I've had one email with one pumpkin, and it happens to be Alex. So nice. We will reveal everyone to everyone on.
I mean, I didn't say do it of us. I just said it could be anything.
Well,
us or NUFC related.
People take that for granted straight away that they wanted to make it us. So if you still have time, get a pumpkin, try and carve it out to look like me, Alex or Billy, and then we will show them all on the show tomorrow night. I've got one so far, but it's up to you guys. Obviously, I know time is very precious to everybody, and the last thing people want to do was really carve out a pumpkin of one of us. But who knows? Anyway, let us look back. Yes, Tom, we will be doing a Man United preview on Halloween. Indeed, of course we will. But we won't be dressing up this year. I learned my lesson swiftly last year about dressing up. I just realized I've got green on the collar of the shirt and it's looking awful. So there you go. I ended up looking, well, I can't remember who I ended up looking like. It started off as Dracula. Prince, yeah. A few people have said different characters that I ended up looking like, but
Meatloaf.
No, Billy. No, I won't have that at all. Not for a second. Anyway, let's look back to Saturday. Of course, a 2-2 draw with Wolves. Disappointing in a way that we didn't hold on to the lead. However, there was a lot of tired legs out there, Alex, and I think that's important to know. To come away with a point was still a good result, in my opinion. But the lads were knackered, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I think a point with the context of it all is fine. We don't normally concede like that, but we've made that sort of mistake before with Pope. It's just what you get from Pope. He's amazing in certain regards, and then he's not amazing in others. And goalkeepers that can do it all are very, very expensive. And Pope was a very cheap keeper for what he can offer. It is what it is. It is what it, do I think he should have caught that ball? Yes. But, in terms of points dropped versus a point gained, yeah, I think the context of everything, I think the rain, the weather, the conditions, factoring in we played against Dortmund, plus all the injuries, plus the Tonali suspension, the fact that we still managed to score 2 goals, and frustrating to concede in the way we did both times, in all fairness. But it happens. And we all predicted, well, a lot of us predicted this is a game that we could lose if we're not careful. We managed to come away with a point away. Probably fair enough. And it will do, in the context of everything, we'll take the point.
Paul Tully also says Pope should have caught it, but our defending after that was atrocious. Burn sliding across didn't help, so a lot happened after the Pope cross. Yes, I agree. However, it shouldn't have come to that. Listen, I am Billy. You've called out Nick Pope a few times on his punching, and I've looked back and you know what it is. I don't know. With Nick Pope this season, we started at the start of the season saying maybe he was worried about the operation that he had on his hand. It was affecting his decision making and coming and punching. It got better. He started to make good connection with the ball, but again, it's fallen back down again. And look, I just think he's a liability with his punching, and he's got to make better decisions now, because I know the defending was awful after the Pope mistake, but it was Pope's mistake, and I'm sorry, but he's a brilliant shot stopper. There is no doubt about that. But I have a problem with his coming for crossing, and that can add to the defender's worry, Billy.
Yeah, the first goal I thought was partially his fault also. I mean, he started coming for a corner that he was never going to get to, and left a massive kind of gap behind him, and Trippier, thinking he's going to catch it, perhaps, wasn't as strong as he should have been at the back post, and there was an empty net to head it into. Pope is a brilliant shot stopper, but he doesn't command his area. He's not good in the air. He doesn't give the defenders any confidence that he's going to come and claim the ball like good keepers do or used to. Yeah, I'm worried about him.
We even saw that when he came up for Burnley, didn't he? When he dropped the ball and Wilson scored against Newcastle.
And add to that, coming out to get balls and totally missing them. Let's not forget that little error that he made at the end of the first half. Shocking.
Well, when my tremendous bit of commentary,
a bit of
shall
John
not
Motson
be broadcast on national TV. Yeah. Look, nobody's scapegoating him. It was a mistake, and unfortunately, when goalkeepers make mistakes, it normally leads to a goal. You look at the amount of mistakes Onana's made, etc. But look, Alex, I don't know where you stand on Nick Pope, but a lot of people are a little bit 50-50 on him at the minute, saying that, there's too many little mistakes happening where he's not that all-round quality goalkeeper that we need if we're going to be an elite side that we're looking to be in the future.
No, I think it's absolute nonsense. I think he's fine for the moment. It's a project. Just look at what's happened with Onana and stuff, and the pressure and the differences. These kinds of goals. The next step up from Nick Pope is a £50 million goalkeeper. Like we can't afford that right now, based on trying to flesh out the squad and improve over time. It would be an outrageous buy. And who do you go for right now? It's mental. Arturo's put in the chat, Szczęsny from the Polish goalkeeper. Absolutely no way. We'd never touch him with a barge pole.
Well,
Fabianski should have been the number one. I've watched a lot more Polish football than Arturo, I can tell you that. Not a chance, my friend.
Arturo, from his comments the other night, watches more Wolves games than he does Newcastle. But we're not getting into that.
But in terms of Nick Pope, look, he's going to win us more points than he loses us this season.
Yeah,
which we have to take into consideration. He's not perfect. He has good parts to his game and bad parts to his game, and so does everyone. Look at how we judge Callum Wilson with things he can do and can't do. Look at how we judge defenders like Lascelles, what things he can do well and can't do well. Lascelles will make mistakes and defensive errors, but then he will do a lot of things well. So there are only a handful of players that are so well rounded, and they cost a lot of money, and we can't afford that right now. Who have we got in the team that doesn't really make errors? I mean, strikers, not so much of an issue, but the
problem is, Alex, with goalkeepers, I think in any sport, when a goalkeeper makes a mistake, it normally leads to a goal, which is highlighted much more than it is if a midfielder gives the ball away.
Yeah, but it's the nature of playing for a top team, and I think we're starting to be able to call ourselves one of those, or at least very soon. And it's the nature of the beast of if back in the day with Tim Krul, fabulous shot stopping, we're always under the cosh, and then Dubravka to a point, although it made him his mistakes as well. Whereas the type of football we're trying to play now with a higher line and stuff, of course this is going to happen. Of course it is. But the problem is the next step up from Nick Pope is a £50 million goalkeeper. We're going to have to get behind Pope. He's going to be the goalkeeper for the next 2 or 3 years, 100%. And then we will look at another goalkeeper.
But there's no guarantee on that either. Look how much PSG paid for Donnarumma. He still has his errors. He has issues that he needs to improve on. And he
Can
was,
I just
80 odd
mention,
million?
Arturo keeps talking about goalkeepers from England and Spain. Mate, David De Gea is like the massive example of how this is an issue. So Spanish goalkeepers ain't all that either.
Well, he said English goalkeepers are sloppy. I mean,
As was
he's,
De Gea.
he's talking about Sommer. Sommer's made loads of mistakes in his career. I mean, he's not the out-and-out brilliant goalkeeper. Look, I think... Look, I'm only highlighting because obviously Nick Pope's mistake, and Billy's right. The corner for the first goal, he misjudged the flight of that, but that could have been down to the weather or anything. Look, at the end of the day, we came away with the 2-2 draw, and I'm pretty happy with the 2-2 draw because of how tired we were. But there is a lot of people aiming a bit of criticism at Eddie Howe for the lack of substitutions. Norvik is here. At the start of the season, Eddie said that he would have to do a lot more rotation in the squad. Apart from having to do through injury, just how many players have actually been rotated? Now, it's a good point, Billy, because he certainly hasn't rotated the fullbacks. Just before you answer that, we've got a new member. JNCO, welcome to Members Club, matey. Thank you so much for your support and welcome to the family. Dr. House, thank you for your £5 super chat. Says, hi, Paul, Billy and Alex. I love Pope. He is fantastic as a shot stopper. Just needs to work on distribution and punching from crosses. Love the channel. Thank you very much, buddy. But yeah, it's a good point, Billy, about the rotation because he hasn't.
No, he hasn't, no. And when he has, it's generally been down to injuries. Nothing to do with resting players. Yeah, it's an odd one. Livramento showed that in the Man City game that he's capable of substituting for Kieran Trippier. Strange how he hasn't been seen since, hardly. The thing is, all over the pitch, the injuries are stopping us from rotating now, so we can't rotate. This is the whole problem of all of it. You know, injuries and suspensions. Yeah, it's beyond the 8 ball. But that, again, calls into question the transfer window, I think.
Alex, you know, injuries are crippling us right now, but you know, when you look at the full-backs, you look at the likes of Lewis Hall, Matt Targett, of course, at left back. Right back, you've got Livramento, like Billy says, played really well. Got man of the match in his last game he played. But he hasn't put him in. And Trippier was terrible on Saturday. As much as I hate to say that, because Trippier is Newcastle's god, isn't he? He's just brilliant. But he was awful on Saturday. But no change. He didn't bring Livramento on at any stage in the game. One substitution we made. It's not really good enough, is it?
I mean, loaded question there with, is it really good enough? I'm not going to answer that one. But in terms of, is it good enough? I think bringing Livramento on, I think, is his call, whether he thinks Trippier can play himself into the game and whether Trippier is needed on that pitch. And that is not our call to make. That is Howe's and the coaching staff, and they will live and die by their decisions. And I think people need to take a step back and understand how professional they are in terms of a coaching setup. They will not just go, oh yeah, let's just play this first team. It's not FIFA. You know, they will sit there, they will have meetings, and they will fully go into detail about what kind of minutes need to be managed. What do the physios say? What do the doctors say? What do the sports scientists say? What does the data say? How are the players feeling? What have the players told me? How much have they trained this week? What are the upcoming fixtures? They will go through every single piece of information and try and make the best informed decision they can as a unit. And I'm not qualified enough to stand here and say that they made the wrong call. Did they make a gamble? Possibly, yes. But if they thought it was Alex, the right gamble...
You talk about what Trippier brings on the pitch, and we all know what Kieran Trippier brings on the pitch. Literally everything. He brings everything. However, on Saturday, he brought very little. He put us...
But it's a case of maybe he thought he could play himself into the game, and he's a game changer, he's a winner.
That should have maybe made it... 10 minutes into the second half, Billy made a point of saying, nothing's changed. He's given the ball away a couple of times again. So why not change him? You know, we needed a change. He was giving the ball away and putting us under pressure more than he was doing anything else.
I can't disagree with you, but again, maybe they were thinking, oh well, hopefully he's going to play himself into the game. I don't know. Maybe they think Trippier playing himself into the game would have been more valuable than the Livramento substitution. That's all I can tell you. Like that's. Or maybe there are other reasons for it. Maybe Livramento is being fully saved for Wednesday. Who knows? There are reasons for it. I don't believe that for a second that Howe or the coaching staff are going to be naive enough to just not make subs or whatever. They will 100% understand what the consequences are of trying things or not trying things.
I mean, look, we had
There's a white elephant in the room. There's a white elephant in the room. Physios, sports scientists, etc., can look at physical kind of fatigue. Mental fatigue's a massive one as well for me. Kieran Trippier's played 2 games of international football, European games where you've got to get up, you've got to be at the top, and then inevitably after that you have a little drop. I don't think he was ready mentally for the game Saturday. Looking at how he performed, because physically he seemed okay, it seemed mental fatigue to me, and I think the manager should see that on the pitch. To be perfectly honest, the way he performed.
Well, this is what we need journalists to ask. Like the conversation that we're having now is a perfect line of questioning. You know, they can fluff it up however they want in a nice way, but ask these kinds of questions in the press conferences. And then we might get some, Eddie Howe doesn't give a lot away, but he might give us some insight into why he's been making certain decisions and when certain players may get an opportunity and in what competitions. They need to ask these questions, because at the moment it's just what they're doing now is they're not asking these questions and then writing articles about the lack of rotation. Ask the questions.
Yeah.
Then you can write more informed articles. Very simple.
Spike Milligan, thank you, Spike, for your £10 super chat and your continued sending prizes for the giveaways. It's absolutely incredible generosity. Thank you, Spike. Trips Big Dan should have been rested and Tino and Matt T in their place. Lewis Hall could have come on later in the game, in my opinion. I mean, we spoke about it during the commentary, Billy, that, Kieran Trippier that was a perfect game for him to be rested. I know Wolves are a decent side at home. By all means, I'm not disrespecting Wolves at all. But if you're going to rest a player like Kieran Trippier, then that's the sort of game you rest him in. And, you mentioned the mental fatigue. It was just, his passing was just not his usual self. He just looked as if something wasn't quite right. After 60 minutes as a manager, you've got to say, right, he's putting us into trouble. Despite him being Kieran Trippier, no name is big enough not to be substituted if you are not playing well. Or if there is a mental fatigue problem, then still bring him off. You've got Livramento, who, it's not like you're putting somebody in who has never played Premier League football. This guy has experience. He's a very, very good footballer. So we're not really taking much of a risk.
I think the perfect game was the week before, and then you wouldn't have had that kind of reaction. I think the Burnley game the week before would have been. Was it Burnley we played the week before? Wasn't it? I think that was the game to rest Trippier.
Palace, Billy.
Palace, yeah. After the 2 international games, which he played both in, and he played virtually every minute of every game before that. I think the Palace game was the one to rest him, and then he would have been well rested.
But Trippier was part of the reason why we destroyed Palace.
Whatever, it's got to be. It's got to happen sooner or later. We can't play every minute of every game. I mean, we've said it.
No, I agree. But there is the opposite.
You've got to pick your game to choose, haven't you? You've got to pick your game to choose. I think an away game is tougher than a home game for Livramento. I've got to say.
Oh, I agree. But you've got to think of it from the other perspective. If Trippier stays on and delivers a killer ball, which results in us winning that game 3-2, all the opposites being asked. Eddie Howe, all of a sudden, all the comments are going to be, what a masterstroke genius of him to trust Trippier all the way to the final minutes, leaving the quality on the pitch to deliver the final ball to get 3 points at the end. And it'd just be the opposite way around. And it's just, he took a gamble, it didn't work. And he will take more gambles that won't work. We're going to have to deal with that. However, so far since he's been the manager of the club, 90% of his gambles pay off. Probably not the best choice of words with tonight, but still, most of what he tries works. Yeah. And that is why we're doing so well. So we've got to accept that sometimes.
I mean, to be honest, the last 20 minutes of the game was probably his best 20 minutes of the game. Simple as that.
Yeah,
which is why it's hard. It wasn't down to physical fatigue.
What I worry about though is an actual breakdown. That something happens where we burn him out. And it can happen.
He's not going to play Wednesday, is he? So hopefully they'll.
He better bloody not play Wednesday. I mean, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, he's going to play the same side." No, it's surely not. Agent Tech Streams, thank you for your $4.99 super chat. The people saying Pope needs replaced, please remember Martin made more mistakes. Also, please remember he has saved games for us. Absolutely. Look, again, we're just highlighting this game, okay?
Yeah.
But one thing that Nick Pope, and we've discussed this many, many times on the channel, is his decision making come for crosses and his distribution. Those are the two things I think we've all said that Nick Pope needs to improve on. Now, is he going to improve on them? Who knows? But they are certainly aspects of his game that we as fans have identified. And I'm sure 100% that Eddie Howe has identified it, and he probably is working on it in training. And maybe we get to see that as the season goes on, that he does improve on that. Look, Martin Dubravka, again, good shot stopper, really good shot stopper. But his decision making, he's not as confident coming out his area and sweeping up as Nick Pope is. So, there's pros and cons to every goalkeeper in the world.
I think people have just got to understand it's a process. Like, we've got to carefully sign our way up and improve this squad. We've gone, right, this is Martin Dubravka. This is the way we want to play. We've got Carl Darlow, we've got so-and-so. Obviously, I'm talking about when, a few years ago. They made the decision, right, what goalkeepers are available that are going to improve our shot stopping, potentially sweeping ability. How can we improve a bit in the best cost-effective way? They've chosen Nick Pope. It wasn't, they're fully aware that Nick Pope is possibly not a goalkeeper to take you to a Champions League trophy or title challenging. But was it the right decision at the time? Yeah, of course it was. Because he's really good and has got us loads of points. But of course, and this is going to be the same for every player in every position. We're going to try and carefully upgrade and improve the squad. Every player that we signed potentially going to have flaws. I mean, the only player arguably who doesn't have really much of a flaw is Bruno, and that's one of the reasons why he's being touted for. There's people talking about Barcelona, Real Madrid. Who does Bruno go to in the world? Probably only a few super clubs like that. But everybody else, it's a process. We're not at that point where we can just go and sign the absolute finished product. We're just not there. So,
but you know what? First half, I thought we didn't play too badly. Anyway, I thought we were good in spells.
We were okay, considering
we did give the ball away a bit, but we also looked very dangerous, as we said through the commentary in the first half. Every time we attacked Wolves, we looked like we could score. Every time Wolves attacked, we looked a little bit dicey at the back. It's quite
an exciting game, to be fair. Yeah,
it was. It was a very good game to watch. And sometimes against Wolves, especially at Molineux, they're not good games to watch. But that one was a good one. There was mistakes, there was good opportunities, there was, controversy. You got it all in the game. And I thought, especially first half, we did play quite well. I thought the passing was there. Bruno was just exceptional. He's just absolutely wonderful to watch when he's on the ball. And we were making good runs. But it's just, listen, I'm happy we've come out with a draw, another match unbeaten in the Premier League. Listen, after playing Dortmund, we respond and we get a point. So it's not all doom and gloom. Absolutely not.
A point away from home is a good point. A point away from home is a really good point. However, when you give 2 goals away at that magnitude, sloppy defending, sloppy goalkeeping, I'm happy with the point. Of course I am, but I'm disappointed we didn't get all through it.
But Wolves could say the same, Billy, because our first goal, terrible defending, terrible goalkeeping. Avoidable, and Wilson's penalty. I mean, controversy on it being given, but also it was a terrible penalty. If we're openly honest, Jose Sark, I don't know what he was doing. He sort of pushed it to the other side of the goal, but strange. Ben, thanks for your question. He says, "Hey guys, not football related, but what's your opinion on the ice hockey incident? Since you're an ex-player, Paul, do you think it was an accident? Looked like the guy kicked out to me." Those of you that don't know, there was a match between Sheffield Steelers and Nottingham Panthers on, was it Sunday night, I believe, and Saturday. And absolutely horrible incident involving a player which has the same name as a certain ex-Sunderland player, Adam Johnson, playing for Nottingham Panthers, passed away. He was killed on the ice. There was a collision, skate cut his neck, and basically he was conscious when they took him off the ice, but sadly there was no chance for him. He'd lost too much blood. The arena was evacuated because people had witnessed this and young kids had witnessed it. I think there was 8,000 in the arena. It's happened before. Not a loss of life like that, but it's happened before where luckily a doctor's been on hand and has stopped the bleeding or managed to, without being too graphic, putting fingers in and stopping the bleeding from the artery. It unfortunately happened too quick. Now, you're saying there, do you think it was an accident? The player that actually collided with him has had a history of not so good moments in ice hockey, very kind of nasty. Now, I've seen the incident, and I agree with you, Ben. It looked like he kicked out. There's to be in a karate kick situation on the ice, not for me. It was a very, very strange situation, and I believe that I've seen reports today that the police are now involved. The police have looked at it themselves, and they are involved. It seemed to me like a kick out, but listen, let the police do the job, and what will be with that. But it's a terrible incident for ice hockey. Adam Johnson was a very, very good player. He played in the NHL over in America. He's come over to Nottingham. He was a big signing for them, and for him to be killed like that, I mean, it's sickening. But those are the risks that players take in ice hockey. Obviously, the skate blades are very, very sharp. Equipment is brilliant these days, but it doesn't cover the full body. I know you can get neck guards. Kids have to wear neck guards, but adults don't. So maybe that changes in the future. But all we can say is it was just a horrible incident. And thoughts and prayers go to all the supporters that were there, his teammates, his ex-teammates, family and friends. It just a horrible incident to happen over here as well. Is just awful. But yeah, we'll see what happens with it, Ben. But it did look like a kick out to me. But I'm not saying he deliberately did it. It's just the way he collided with him looked very, very strange to me. So we'll see what the police make of it and where it goes from there. But just a horrible incident for the sport of ice hockey, unfortunately. But those are the risks that hockey players take, unfortunately. Just like any other sport, there's always risks in sport, in different sports. And obviously with the skate blades being so sharp as they are these days, that is a risk everybody takes. Unfortunately, that's the first loss of life that I know about that's happened to that, but it's sickening. So thoughts and prayers to Adam's family, etc.
It's odd, isn't it? And it's the same in cricket. The neck is a really unprotected part of the body that, it's a dangerous part. If it gets hit in the wrong way, we saw the Australian Phil Hughes get killed by a ball that hit the back of his neck when he was batting.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
the neck start.
Wasn't there an England player lost their life as well? Oh, that was a car accident. It was. That was
Ben Holyoke.
Yeah, Ben Holyoke. Yeah.
But yeah, the necks need to start being protected in these sports because it's a really, you got your carotid arteries. It sounds like this poor fellow's had his severed by the sound of it.
Oh, was it? I mean, the video is sickening. It shouldn't really be online, if I'm totally honest. No. It was sickening. But being an ex-player, I wanted to have a look just for my own. I've seen it in America before, and it's only a quick video of the collision, nothing else afterwards. But the collision looks very dodgy. For who the player who caught his neck with the skate is in a very strange karate kick stance, and it shouldn't be like that on the ice. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, you talk about head injuries in football. Peter Cech getting that one, and there's always a risk in any sport of being badly injured. You take a risk when you go on the football field, the cricket field, the ice, a rugby field, anything. Alex, I know you've played rugby before. You can be severely injured in any sport, unfortunately.
Oh, I've seen people knocked out cold on the ground, and there is always that 5 second moment. Well, slightly more than 5 seconds. There's always that moment where they're rushing over to him. Well, I don't really want to say it, but when they're laying there and you're just like, oh god, it's always a few moments of it's weird. It's very weird. Yep. It's not something that's nice to witness.
No, but as I say, risk in every sport. But listen, we've seen it happen in football so many times. With players collapsing with heart issues, and obviously Ericsson was the last one in the football. So things can go wrong, and it's very rare, but it can go wrong. But to witness that, with so many kids in the arena, and the players did get around him very quickly. There was boards put around so that while they were working on, I think he got CPR while he was on the ice. And that's why the fans were told to leave the arena, because the game was certainly not going to continue. But it's just awful. It's just awful. Anyway, back to the football. Julie says, very wet, slippery conditions that night. Their goalie missed a catch and Wilson scored. I think that would have been in Pope's mind. Carl says, I'm bigging up Wilson. He has now scored more Premier League goals than Carlos Tevez and Fernando Torres. I think he has scored about 18 Premier League goals in his last 21 appearances.
Yeah, his record is incredible.
He's deadly in front of goal. There is no doubt about that. Give him an opportunity, and 8 or 9 out of 10 times, Wilson will hit the back of the net. I don't think his performance, though, was great, Alex, on Saturday.
Yeah. So me and Billy have had a discussion about this as well. It's a weird one because you've got to rate him highly because he scored 2 goals, but his performance in every other regard I thought was really bad. So it's a strange one, and I can already hear frantic typing, disagreeing with me. Yeah, I'm aware, but I think
you'd be
really
surprised,
take a step
Alex,
back,
to be honest, because.
Well, maybe, but if you take a step back and have a look at his off the ball, I mean, he was tired. He's gonna that you have to factor in cold, wet, raining away game after Isak's just got injured. Wilson's having to play way more than ideally we'd like him to. So we factor that in, you know. However, his off the ball, his on the ball, his dribbling, his passing, his awareness, his physicality. None of it was up to scratch to what he can deliver because he's managed to get some really, really good physical performances in recently. And I think it was just none of it was there because the plan is to rotate him and Isak. And unfortunately, it's not possible right now. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, scored 2 goals. Amazing. So it's one of those where do we care if he scores the goals? I guess not. If he scores the goals,
we've always said that if strikers score, we're not bothered how they play. It's whether they put the ball in the net when they've got the opportunity. And
yeah,
Callum did that.
So we got a point because of Callum specifically. So we can't really. It's a real tough one.
Billy,
he's an old-fashioned type of striker, isn't he? I mean, players in the past they were generally just there to score goals, and at this precise moment in time, that's all Callum Wilson's offering to the side. Down to fatigue, I guess, and physical ailments and what have you. Because he never used to be like that. He used to contribute in attacking.
Do you think that's in his mind, though, Billy? Do you think that's in his mind, knowing now that Isak's injured, he's going to have to play the majority of games for the next few weeks? So is he pacing himself in a way that he doesn't want to get, I don't know what the right words are here, that he doesn't want to get too involved and risk getting injured?
No, I'll be amazed if it wasn't. I'm pretty sure he won't be playing Wednesday. So I guess he thinks that he's got a 7-day rest between then and the Arsenal game. Then it all starts again, doesn't it? Every 4 days games. Yeah, it's a tough one having Isak out.
I'll tell you what, when we preview the game tomorrow night, I would predict the team selections are going to be very bloody interesting because I have no idea what I'm going to select for the team tomorrow. On Wednesday, but 7:00 tomorrow night will be the preview for that game, guys. And also, obviously, any latest news that we get in. Annie, good evening to you. He says, this is my therapy session, lads. Yes, Bristol City firing, of course, Nigel Pearson. And some of the names that have been linked with the Bristol City job, Annie, I would worry. And I watched your video on it. It was a brilliant video. So well done, little man. Keep them going. You're doing really well. Really, really good video. I enjoyed it. But God help. I mean, Steve Bruce is available, obviously, as well. I mean, I haven't seen his name linked to the job.
You used to have positive things to say about him, didn't you? I mean,
yes. What was his words he said about Steve Bruce? Pragmatic. That's it. Annie, we love you, but you had a Castor with that one, mate. Without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, we'll see who ends up.
I do have the shortlist for the Bristol City manager job actually close to hand if you want me to get it for you. Give me 2 seconds.
Oh. Okay.
What's this going to be?
I don't know. I'm a little bit.
I won't read them out because obviously it's a quite long list, but they're in this book if anyone wants to see.
Oh, dear me. Ronald says, I wonder what Team Eddie will put out at Man United because there's 8,000 fans travelling down, remember? So we've mentioned Eddie sort of binning it off, but there's 8,000 fans travelling down. They will want to see us at least try. So it's a catch-22 for Eddie, but we'll talk about that tomorrow night, of course, in the preview. NUFC Ollie said, Eddie said after the game, it was a difficult game to bring players on given the circumstances.
Don't know what that means, but
no. I mean, what sort of circumstances?
I mean, we did take control of it the last 20 minutes again, didn't we? So I can kind of understand
I mean,
that.
you don't want to disrupt play with that, I guess. Maybe he's referencing that.
Maybe.
I mean, a few people have mentioned it in the chat. I mean, that's a fair point as well. It was, despite the fact we were absolutely knackered, it was nice to see us have a late resurgence in the sort
like
of
a second
final
wind,
15.
wasn't it? Yeah.
But it just goes to show how fit everyone is in our squad. The fact that we were able to push for 20 minutes and Wolves really died off fitness-wise. That's crazy. You can't have imagined that 2 years ago. One substitution and we actually push for, try and push for a winner.
I just hope whoever's on that pitch, if Anthony plays, I want to see him just lynched in the fairest possible way, of course.
Well, they're there for the taking. Let's be honest.
They're awful. They're awful, and But what'll happen is we'll field the reserve side, they'll field the number one side, and they'll beat us and be the best team in the world again. Honestly, pathetic. Yeah. Chippers is really digging into Arturo, asking him what team he actually supports. And you're right, Chippers. Arturo did celebrate when Wolves scored on Saturday in the chat. So he made quite a mistake there. So Arturo, you need to. I think he's a closet Wolves fan, mate. But there you go. John says, "Evening, Paul. I just assumed it was cancelled due to the tragic death of the ice hockey player. What, the show? No, no, it wasn't. It was, again, life unfortunately has to go on. I think the hockey fixtures were cancelled, but YouTube was having a big ball ache yesterday with live streaming, so we couldn't take the risk. Rather bring it to you when it's up and running again." Acid says Wolves' first goal was a copy of the goal Kane scored against us, back post header.
It was, yeah. Similarly, Paqueta's against West Ham. I know he didn't head it in, but it's the same kind of situation, wasn't it?
Barry the Beast says, "I'm sorry, but why say Livermento for Man United in the Carabao Cup? That shouldn't be the priority. We need the points in the league. We should have tried to get the 3 at Wolves." Well, we did try, Barry. I don't think there's any doubt about that the team tried to get the 3 points. And like we just spoke about, the second win that the lads got, we could have won the game. I think we should have held on to win the game as well, but we didn't at the end of the day. But one thing you always say is, if you don't win the game, don't lose the game, and we didn't. So, I'm still
right,
quite
Michael.
pleased.
Jesus,
I'm sorry.
Is that all right, Michael?
Michael who?
Billy knows.
No, I don't. I'm trying to think.
Michael Owen.
Oh, right, Michael Owen. Yeah, okay. I'm with you now.
It was nice having Alex on the channel for a little while, wasn't it? He's been a very good host, but unfortunately his ass is fired. Let me just point out, Alex, that I don't say things like you've got to score goals to score goals, or rubbish like that.
You've got to score goals to win a football match.
You've got to score goals to win a football match. Yeah, absolutely. Now, one person again stood out for me. Apart from, obviously, I mentioned Bruno. Bruno was magnificent again, as he normally is. But one other person stood out by a shadow of a doubt, and man of the match for me was Fabian Schär. Just unbelievable.
Yeah, the amount, and he's not had any rest either, and yet week in, week out, he's performing these kind of out of this world performances, and Saturday was no exception. Just outstanding defensively. He's doing the firefighting job that Sven Botman does on the left as well. The passing is always great. He gets forward. He's to me, he's the best centre half in the league at this precise moment in time. I've not seen one better all season.
Yeah. Alex?
So I'm distracted. I'm looking at Michael Owen quotes now.
You are such
completely
a twat.
Distracted me. In terms of Fabian Schär's performance? Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's one of those where a lot of people have gone for Wilson. I think the broadcasters and the Premier League at the time, whoever it is, gave it to Wilson because of the 2 goals. But I'd probably say for the player who was least affected by everything going on at the moment, probably Fabian. He was a really steady performance, good passing, stepping up into midfield, good tackling, some last-ditch tackles where it was appropriate. He's just putting in those performances at the moment. It's almost like, I can't remember if it was you or Billy who said it the other day, but it's essentially when Botman's there, he's almost you know, he's got somebody slightly better than him in certain regards, and he doesn't have to take control as much. Whereas with Lascelles, I think Cher knows that he needs to really, really step it up because he's the guy. And he seems to be flourishing in that regard, being the stronger of the pairing. Again, moving to that left side is helping with his passing angles as well, splitting it between Trippier and Cher a bit further. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good shout for him to be man of the match there. Although you could probably argue it was Neto before he went off, but if we're choosing one for us, it's between Fabian Cher and Callum Wilson, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Look, I think the way he conducts himself, I think he's stepped up a little bit since Botman's been injured as well. He's got that extra responsibility, I guess. Lascelles has stepped up, but I think as soon as Botman's fit, he comes back in, definitely. But, you know, it's not too bad. I don't mind our centre backs. I thought they were good on Sunday or Saturday. I thought Lascelles cleared a lot of headers as well. But
to be fair, Fabian Cher is the highest rated player for us on SofaScore, even higher than Wilson with his 2 goals. Yeah. 4 clearances, 2 interceptions, 4 tackles, 1 last man tackle. Oh, there's a nice new stat for SofaScore. That's a cool stat. 5 out of 7 ground duels. He won his only aerial duel. 107 touches, which is a lot. 91% pass accuracy. Yeah, he was a monster in this game. 5 out of 9 long balls, and he won the penalty as well. So,
you all right, mate?
No, I've just tried to swat a fly and bang me knuckles off the wall. Sodden, Jesus! I'm all right though. Let's carry on. Okay. I'll be in a pot tomorrow, but never mind. Anyway, we will move on to the player ratings now. So please take part in this in the chat while I try and move my fingers. Flies should not be alive this time of year, right? They shouldn't be here. Just putting it out there. Jesus. Yeah, I did see Michael Owen's face on the wall. Anyway, right. Player ratings. We will start off with Nick Pope. This should be very interesting. Alex, we'll start with you.
I'm gonna go with a 6. I think that's possibly a bit generous. 1 out of 5 long balls, and then questionable with the high claim. Again, a few people have mentioned in the chat, and I do wonder. Obviously, Jose Sarr dropped his ball that Wilson scored the goal from. Maybe Pope just made a conscious decision of, sod it, I'm 100% just going to punch this. I'm not going to risk it. Maybe that's why. Again, we'll never know. I'll go with a 6. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but hopefully we'll have a few more, because we've had some really solid games from Pope recently. He's won us loads of points. He's been vital in the Champions League as well.
Yeah.
But then you have games like this with Pope. It's just what you get. So I'll go with the 6.
I am here. I'm going to go with a 5. It's really interesting because I'm looking at the chat and I'm looking at everybody's scores, and they're varying from anywhere from a 4 to a 7. So it just goes to show you that it's very difficult, given Nick Pope's performance on Saturday, to actually rate him and find out what the best rating is for him. But I'm going with a 5. Billy?
Yeah, he did make a couple of good saves early doors, and he looked confident early doors. But after the first goal where he came and stopped, and to me, that's partly his fault. And then the real mess up at the end of the first half where he's come to clear the ball and totally missed it. And then the second goal, I think 5's fair. Yeah, I think it was, in the main, he did some good stuff, but Christ, the mistakes he made were horrific.
Well, let's hope he learns from them, and he's absolutely incredible in his next performance, whenever that may be. Probably, obviously, Arsenal. I think either Dubravka or Karius will play on Wednesday. Probably Dubravka, which is going to be interesting given where he was this time last season. It's interesting. Some people are giving Nick Pope an 8. Please do state why you've given him an 8. I'd love to know. Anyway, we'll move on to, Kieran Trippier. God. I'm going with a 4. I thought he was horrible. I can't. I'm not saying any more because I love Trips. Barry the B, thank you for your $4.99 super chat. He says, when they don't score, they hardly ever win, said Michael Owen. Indeed. Billy, Kieran Trippier.
Yeah, defensively poor. I've never seen a left back kind of take him to the cleaners and go past him like Aït-Nouri did. Passing was horrific. Yeah, I think 4's fair. There is excuses for him. He has played virtually every minute of every game. But on Saturday's game alone, yeah, it's a 4 out of 10, unfortunately.
But the thing is, one person more than anybody will know that he wasn't at his best, and that's Kieran Trippier.
And he tried harder and harder, and he got worse and worse as it went on. But the last 20 minutes, he was okay.
But we know we know the guy is absolutely superb. Alex, Kieran Trippier.
I'm going to go with 5.
Mm-hmm.
He did a few good things: 2 key passes, 4 accurate crosses, 3 accurate long balls. He created a big chance for the team.
Who was watching his stats? Stevie Wonder.
However, 2 out of 10 ground duels. He's defended against Mbappe and the like so far this season and been exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
However, as Billy said, Aït-Nouri absolutely destroyed him. It's the first time I've ever seen anybody do that to Kieran Trippier. And I think it's important to highlight Aït-Nouri's stats in this. 13 out of 15 ground duels from Aït-Nouri. That is monstrous. That's numbers I've not seen Joe Linton ever put up. I think that is probably, I don't know, I'd have to ask some Wolves fans, but that's probably his best game in a Wolves shirt, I would imagine. I don't think he would have played much better than that at any other point. That was outrageous from him. Some of the tricks, some of the physicality, 3 successful dribbles as well. 92% passing accuracy. He was everywhere. He was outrageously good. And it's what we mentioned in the preview. Wolves have quality. But I've not seen Trippier struggle with a player as much as that, and we've seen him play against the world's best this season. So he's had bloody Rafael Leao, he's had Mbappe. But yeah, 5. I can't give him any higher than that.
Okay.
Move on.
Guys, we've got 252 likes so far, and we've got over 800 people watching. We want to hit at least 500 on this stream, so please take a second now just to hit that thumbs up button, guys. And of course, if you are new, please do subscribe and hit the notification bell. Let's not forget that. Come and be part of this incredible community. Fuggy Crack says, what a team. Paul, what the hell does that say?
Loquacious.
Loquacious? I don't even know what that means.
No,
Billy, the historian and comedian, and our analyst for the voice of reason, Alex. Always good work from you all. Thank you, Fuggy Crack. Really appreciate that. Right, Dan Byrne, Alex.
I think he struggled with Neto a little bit. Oh God, yeah, I haven't even clicked on his data. Okay, I'm going to give Dan Byrne I'm going to give him a 4. If I've given Trippier a 4, I've got to give Byrne lower.
You give Trippier a 5.
But again, yeah, I know. I gave Trippier a 5. I've got to give Byrne lower, a 4, because he didn't do as much positive as Trippier did. He didn't get he didn't create big chances for his team and do certain things like that. Whereas Byrne, again, of course, he's going to struggle against a player like Neto. And if he's not positionally, if he's not in the right place upon sort of getting countered, he's never going to get there. Again, physically terrible. 1 out of 7 ground duels is shocking. I do feel like he got slightly hard done by the referee. There were 2 or 3 fouls that were not fouls, and the poor guy was just going it's nowhere near him. There were a few things that got pulled. I think Neto actually dragged Dan Byrne down by his shirt, and Neto got the foul at one point. It was outrageous, but yeah, Byrne a 4. But again, we won't hold it against him. He's been much better recently, but it's just one of those. One of the most on form wingers in the league. He struggled.
I'm disagreeing with you, Alex. I thought Byrne was better than Trippier, to be honest. So I'm giving Byrne a 6. I thought he was no, seriously. I don't think he didn't give the ball away anywhere near the amount of times that Kieran Trippier did. Byrne's passing was, for me, was okay. So
yeah, because Trippier had a lot more of the ball because he's our.
Yeah, but that's not Dan Byrne's fault. So I'm not going to score Dan Byrne lower because he didn't get the ball as many times as Trippier to give it away. I thought he did okay. So I'm going with a 6. Billy?
I'm going to go in between the two of you.
I knew you bloody would. I knew you would do that.
Yeah, I didn't think he was as bad as Trippier either, to be fair. But he wasn't great either.
I'm sorry, but one out of 7 ground duels for somebody who is that size.
Well, ground duels is a little bit more difficult for him because he is that size, Alex. You know, I've been pulled up on that many times. So when I've criticised Dan Burns, then you know when his head is literally next to the sun because he's so tall, ground duels are difficult because he's looking down on everybody.
Dan Burn had the advantage of having Cher doing a lot of firefighting before him as well, and obviously Trippier's got the Sal's doing it. So
a lot of again, if it wasn't for Cher's positioning and tackles, you would be rating Burn a lot lower. I think you're giving. I think his rating is a 6 for you because Fabian Scher's put out a lot of fires.
No. I just think he was better than Trippier. And you know, 90% of the chat are agreeing. By the way, I just have to state that. I'm never always. I'm very rarely wrong, Alex, but I'm always right. Anyway, we'll move on to the centre backs. We'll start off with skipper Jamal Lascelles, Billy Bob.
He went from the sublime to the ridiculous. Defensively, at times he looked horrific, although defensively at times he looked really good as well. So, middle of the road performance for me. I'm going to give him a 6.
Yeah, I'm giving him a 6 as well. There was one really standout centre back for me on Saturday. Alex?
I'm going to give him a 5. Again, he's slimmed down a little bit. He's not as muscle bound as he was, as Billy's quite rightly pointed out recently. However, he's the unit. He's the unit in that back line. And Cunha had him absolutely on toast in any physical battle, anything technical with his feet. And it's frustrating because Lascelles is normally quite good at least showing them onto their wrong side, being physically strong. Yeah. And in terms of ground duels for Lascelles, it was 3 out of 10. Sorry, mate, you're one of the strongest players on the pitch. Not good enough.
Yeah.
But again, it's same as Billy. There were certain passages of play that he was really confident and looked really decent, and then certain ones that it was poor. But just duels. I mean, Foxy's put the same there. 5 poor with his duels. It's what we measure him on. It's you know, we talk about he plays against Haaland specifically to mark him, and you can't be losing against what's Mateus Cunha is his name. Mateus Cunha. But you know, he's an experienced lad. He played for Leipzig and stuff. But even so, you got to be a little bit. I think that was the reason we lost. Is we had 4, 5, 6 players not quite at the races in many different regards, and it was that accumulation lost us that game. It was Pope and Trippier and Lascelles and Burn. It was quite a few people not quite at the races, which dropped points. Yeah.
Moving on across to Fabian Cher, 10 for me. He was outrageously good again, bringing the ball forward. Stringing brilliant passing, incredible tackles, covering all the time. Just sensational. To think how his age now, how much he cost, and just to see him perform like this is I think it was a real kick up the arse from the Brighton game. I think he had a kick up the arse because since Brighton he has been simply outstanding, and it was another 10 performance for me. He is a brick wall. He's a Terminator. He's just sodden awesome, Billy.
I think it's one of the more obvious 10s you'll see all season. I think faultless, really. Yeah, faultless. Just week after week, we're getting these same performances. As I said earlier, I think he's the best centre half in the Premier League at the precise moment in time. Not to say he's also playing on the wrong side for him, really. But it's took his game to another level, I think. So 10, yeah.
Alex?
I'm gonna have to give him the same with the context of it. The fact that he's playing on the other side, with the context of the game, with most of the other defenders in his back line were all struggling on the day, and he was the one who stood out. We've gone through it statistically. Again, outrageous. 91% passing accuracy given the conditions, and the pressing of Wolves was quite aggressive. You know, we've got Neto breathing down his neck, and Hwang and Cunha as well. 5 out of 7 ground duels. So he stood up physically and he won his duels. 1 last man tackle, 4 tackles, 2 interceptions, 4 clearances. And he won the penalty, and he had a big chance.
Just should have scored, to be fair. I think he should have put that on target, but I'm not holding that against him.
He's a centre half. You can never really, but I mean, apart from score, which I feel like you can give centre halves a 10 without a goal, because you don't rate a centre half based on goals. So I feel like everything just and then we factor in also putting out fires for Dan Burn in a side that he doesn't normally play. Like, he did pretty much everything you could really ask of him in that position. It's got to be a 10. It's really got to be a 10.
Okay. Right, in the midfield, Bruno, Billy.
Yeah, for the first hour, I thought he was absolutely outstanding, and he went out of the game a little bit, whether that's down to tiredness or not. But for the first hour, he was magnanimous, superb. Same Bruno performance. I'm going to give him an 8.
Okay, Alex.
Who are we doing, Bruno?
Yeah.
That's a tough one. Yeah, I think that's fair. I agree with Billy there. I think it's fair. It was a real tricky game. I think it's a really nice example of a Brazilian maturing into this kind of league. You know, playing in October, absolutely tipping it down, freezing away at Wolves, and he puts in a performance like that. I thought it was really, really, really solid. 8 out of 18 duels. So he's had a good try there. He was involved in everything. 4 fouls, but he won us 3 free kicks. 90% pass accuracy in that absolute mental game that was constantly backwards and forwards. That's quite tidy, to be fair. Well, it's very tidy. Yeah, I think an 8. I mean, you could. There's an argument to be made for slightly more, but yeah, it was really solid.
Yeah, I'm going 8 as well for exactly the same reasons as you guys have given. Susan Fagan, we don't do halves on this channel. No halves, so you'll have to decide if it's a 9 or an 8. Good evening, Tony. Hope you're well. Tony suffered through YouTube's problems yesterday, and thank you for your message, buddy, letting us know.
Get well soon, mate. Got COVID
problems
in a minute.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, get well soon, bud. It's not nice. It's still kicking a boot and playing havoc with everyone. Right, Sean Longstaff, Alex.
Oh God, I've got to try and remember what he did now.
He had a good chance in the first 10 minutes.
I'm trying to remember what he did. Go to Billy first, because I need to try and remember actually how he played. This is a problem with delaying the review by a night.
First half, very, very good. Almost scored, put his shot that far wide, literally.
Yeah, it wasn't far away.
Very, very bright first half. Second half, he faded quite a lot. I'll give him a 7.
Okay. I'm going with a 7 as well. I thought he did well. But again, he looked knackered in the second half. Absolutely just completely buggered. But I'm loving the way he's playing at the minute, getting into really good scoring positions as well. And had that been a foot to the right, it would have been a goal in the bottom corner. He tried to put it in the right place, just went wide. But I'm loving the runs he's making. I really am. Alex?
Some of the comments hilarious. Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I think he was close to an 8, but
by the way, happy birthday, Sean. It's Sean Longstaff's birthday today, so big happy birthday to Sean.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't for him fading, which I think he's allowed to do, I don't see any player that doesn't fade towards the end of the game based on everything he's had to do.
Well, he is. But, I mean, Stiff Gators makes a great point. He runs about 11 kilometers every game. The man is an engine.
But it's not just about that. He's cleaned up his game so much. He's improved so much technically. I mean, you can see it in the stats here. 93% pass accuracy, 41 out of 44 passes. In the context of the game, with how much Wolves were pressing and the weather, 93% passing accuracy from Sean Longstaff. Really, really solid. Really clean when you factor in everything that was going on. 3 out of 3 accurate long balls. He had his shot off target, a couple blocked. Physically, about just under half of his ground duels. Again, 3 tackles. He didn't give away any fouls, which is really solid from him. He got fouled once. He faded, but he's just playing with a lot more maturity and with a lot more care. And he's raised his technical level as well. And you can see it in the data and you can see it when he plays.
Absolutely.
He's definitely, despite he's a bit tired, you can still see him improving.
Honoruma's asking why no halves? Because I made the decision. No halves. Simple. No big reason for it. Just we don't like halves on the Toon review. Which is why if you talk about... No, I'm not even going there, actually. Right. Let's move on to the other midfielder now, who was, of course, Joe Linton. Alex.
Another one that I wasn't super happy with at the time. But he had a fairly good game, I guess. It's just the context of everything. Okay, fairly good. Okay, average game. Again, he was careful, but I want to see more from things like offensive corners, offensive set pieces. I want to see more link-up play. Again, he had Willock on the pitch. I just want to see a little bit more going forward. However, I think you've with the context of the situation, coming back from injury, and what is his second game since coming back, expected to play the whole thing. And then he had to try and link up with Willock, who was a little bit nervous about going on left wing runs as well. So that maybe, but I mean, data wise, he was okay. 91% pass accuracy. He had a shot on target, a couple of successful dribbles. Again, 5 out of 11 ground duels. I'm still taking this a bit too personally. With I want to see a lot more physically from Joe Linton when I see him on the pitch, because his job is, okay, fair enough. Sometimes it's ball progression, left side, link up play. But his main role is, mate, you are the destroyer. Go and destroy things. That is his job. And I do want to see some better physical data, from these games. Because that's what we need. We need him to break up play, retain the ball, beat 1 or 2 because he's just so physically dominant, and then get us going on the attack. And we've not really seen that. We saw it in the City game in the Cup. And then any time we've seen him since that, it's not been there. So we know it's there. It's fine. It will come. We're just not really seeing it at the moment. So, and I need to give him a rating. No idea. I don't know. I feel like 7's too high and 6 is too low, but we don't do halves.
No.
Pick one then.
I'll go with a 7.
Christ, Alex, man. It's like getting blood out the stone. Give him a bloody
7.
rating, man.
7.
Okay. Abs is the best is yet to come from Big Joe. I agree. I think this injury's just knocked him a little bit. And I think, we know what Joe's capable of, and I'm sure he'll get back to his best very soon. I'm giving him a 6 as well. I thought he was really good first 20 minutes. Of course, he made that good run, didn't he, in the first 20 minutes, and had a shot on the goal where it just didn't quite. He tried to bend it around the keeper into the bottom corner. It didn't quite work, but I want to see more physicality as well from him. I think that's something that we know Big Joe is all about, and putting himself about on the pitch, which will come. I'm under no illusion. Billy.
I thought the first half we saw that. I thought he was almost back to his best first half. I'll guarantee most of his positive stats will come from the first half, because in the second half we hardly saw him at all. That's down to tiredness. That's down to Wolves stepping up a gear also. They came into the game much more second half. They probably dominated the first half an hour, 40 minutes, half an hour of the second half. So for the first half performance, it would have been an 8, nearly 9. But for the second half, probably a 5 or 6. I'll give him a 7 in the middle.
Okay. Right, let's move to the front three. Miggy Almiron. Oh, God. I thought first half Miggy did okay, and he hit that brilliant right foot cross, which was just begging to be put in the net. No, that was second half, wasn't it? Begging to be put in the net. So I don't think Miggy was too bad, actually. I'm going to give Miggy a 7. I thought he put himself around. I thought he tried to get the ball across. And it was just that ball that he hit with his right foot was just begging for somebody to run in and put it in the back of the net. So I'm going with a 7. Alex?
I think that's fair. I think when Sean faded and Trippier's poor game, that obviously factored into how much damage Miggy could do on that right side. But I thought if we just rating him for what he did, I don't think it was terrible. It was a 7. Physically was one of the few who were decent in the game. 4 out of 5 ground duels again. But we didn't really see enough of him. But again, I feel like that was partly due to maybe Trippier and Longstaff and just that side, maybe. But yeah, it's just one of those, isn't it? I mean, we can't. He's got no replacement, so I guess we've got to be careful with him, and maybe he's being careful. But there's no Murphy, and we will probably. I mean, did we use him on Wednesday? I mean, I guess we'll talk about that, but. Yeah, 7.
I mean, let's not forget, Turpy's made a great point in the comments. Let's not forget that me and Billy thought he was Bruno for a minute when he knocked Traore off the ball and actually won a free kick for us.
That was an amazing passage of play. That was,
to the point where me and Billy thought it was Bruno.
Indeed.
So
Traore twice
that
the
was
size
really
of him, and he
good as
never
well.
gave up. It was very good.
By the way, Jude Bellingham's won the Golden Boy Award at the Ballon d'Ors.
I hope so.
Not really a surprise there. It's not really a surprise who we think's going to win it, even though he shouldn't. But I'm not getting into that. Right, Billy, Miggy Almiron.
Yeah, I was about to bring that same point myself, where he chased Troy all the way across the pitch and took the ball off him, out kind of shoulder barged him out of the way. It's fantastic with a physical play from a slight man. And we did think it was Bruno. It was that good. It's hard one to score on his attacking stuff, but that cross with the right foot, I want to see him do more of that. More of that. That's something he's got to do more of.
Well, that'll give him confidence, won't it, Billy?
You'd hope so.
More.
We keep saying that. He does it once a game. If he does it early in the game, he's kind of West Brom just, they ain't. Unbelievable. Sky actually put the score up. It won a goal. Yeah, Mickey, 7 out of 10 for me, no doubt about it.
Okay.
For effort alone, really. For effort alone.
Steve Gator says that Janice has won Karen of the Year at the Ballon d'Ors as well. So well done to Janice. And of course, R.I.P. Matthew Perry. Just brilliant in Friends. Grew up with that, and it just shocking. It's horrible. Like people passing away who you sort of grew up with watching on the TV, etc. Anyway, let's move to the other side now. Anthony Gordon. Alex.
Tricky one for him. It was a tricky one for him. Physically, again, 3 out of 12 ground duels for Gordon, which is normally not the case. Normally, he's a lot more tenacious. Just a real tricky game for him. I think the wing backs were incredible for Wolves for most of the game. To be fair, the wing backs were really, really at the races. I can't really remember. Like, what did he do? It wasn't that much. A couple of decent dribbles. His passes were tidy, but we didn't get him into the game. I feel like part of it was we didn't get him into the game enough, and part of it was him struggling against his wing back. Again, he was getting matched for pace, which was frustrating for him, I imagine. But if I'm rating him, I think it was a 6, which is probably the lowest we've given him this season potentially. But I feel like the 6 was exacerbated by maybe us not using him as much on that side, or maybe helping him out. You can't just give him the ball and then just. I think Billy mentioned this the other day. Actually, it's the same with what used to happen with Maxi. We're getting to the point now with Gordon where people are terrified of him. You can't just give him the ball and tell him to go do everything. Like, there needs to be a build-up. There needs to be space to run into. There needs to be a man to take on. You can't just give him the ball short and then wait for 3 men to be on him. Like. But that being said, he didn't beat Semedo too many times when he was in a foot race. So yeah,
I thought he looked fatigued. To be honest, I think that Wednesday night, the actual weather, if you consider how heavy the ground would have been, I know we've got good drainage system at St James's Park, but the ground would have been heavy, and I think that's why a lot of players were fatigued on Saturday because of the weather, and then having to do it again on a similar sort of pitch in a similar sort of weather. Has kind of took its toll. But I agree with Billy. I don't think we played him into the game as much as we should. I think, Billy, you made the comment about halfway through the first half that you want to see Gordon on the ball a bit more. So I'm going to give him a 6, but in no way is it a bad 6, if that makes any sense, Billy.
Yeah, without a doubt, underutilised. However, I thought Semedo marks him as well as anyone has all season, but he was outstanding against him. But we didn't give him a fair chance against him. Half the time, he had 2 on him. Semi-assist for the first goal. I think I'll give him a 6 also.
Yeah. By the way, good news about Harvey Barnes. News coming out that he's hopefully going to be back sooner than expected. So that will give us definitely another option. I'm sure Eddie will be pleased with that as well. Tangy says nearly 200 minutes of heavy rain playing football is always going to be tough on the lads.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we do have to take that into consideration. Right, Callum Wilson, guys. This is going to be a strange one and very difficult to mark. But I'm going to put it to you first, Billy.
Cheers. Well, put it this way. If I hadn't scored on Saturday, I'd be giving him a 3, no doubt about it. But the fact he did score 2, first one was a fantastic finish after he kind of been blocked out for the first attempt he had. And then to score a penalty, as poor as it was, it went in. Who cares? Doesn't matter how they go in. It doesn't show pictures on the scorecards. I'm going to give him a 7.
Okay. I'm seeing people giving him a 10. why 9s and 10s? Can you let us know in the comment? I'm not saying that you're wrong or anything like that. Just why are you giving him 9s and 10s? I'm intrigued to know. I know he scored 2 goals, okay, but you also have to take into consideration his all-round gameplay as well. So I think that's what Billy's done there in giving him a 7. I'm gonna, again, like Billy says, if he hadn't scored the goals, I would be giving him a 3 or 4 because I thought his general play was poor. However, the first goal he took was really good because he had the nous to, the first opportunity he missed, but then the overhead kick it into the goal was brilliant. And then, yes, as Billy says, you don't show pictures for the penalty; it just goes down in historical statistics as he scored. So it doesn't matter how it goes over the line at the end of the day. So I'm sorry, 8, Alex.
Yeah, I'm going to go with an 8 as well. Because I felt like there were quite a few situations where he was losing duels that I don't think the referee gave our front players too much protection. I do think we got fouled more than the referee seemed to think, that he wasn't giving a lot of it. And yeah, I feel like it's possibly a 7 performance when you include the goals. It is a 3 or a 4 performance, but with the goals. But I'm giving him the extra purely because of the quality of that first goal. To do that in the Premier League, the hardest league in the world, in my opinion, and then to also convert another penalty and add to his incredible goal record. I don't think we've missed a penalty since 2020, 2021 or something stupid. It's outrageous. Everybody, all of this, you've got to remember the last 18 months and 2 years, everybody going, oh, Southgate needs to take Ivan Toney to tournaments over Wilson because of the penalty record. Sit down. Wilson doesn't miss penalties, and he's, it's outrageous. So, and yeah, he gets an 8 from me purely because of the quality of that first goal, the awareness to just be there and to turn the body position, the hit, and to score those kinds of goals in the Premier League is
it's
tough.
always a bonus when you see Callum Wilson last for 90 minutes as well. So, 90 years.
Had no choice.
Yeah,
had no choice.
We had no choice. Only one substitute in the game, which was, of course, Joe Willock. I thought Joe did okay. Still playing himself to match fitness. It's going to be a while before we see the very best of Joe Willock, although I think he might start on Wednesday, which I think is a good game for him to start in. I'm going to give Joe a 6. Billy?
Yeah, that's fair. It's good to see him back. He's good with the ball at his feet. It's not just a little couple of yards short of full pace, I think.
Yeah.
Once he gets more games in his legs, then that'll get back to his old kind of pace, which is really quick. So I think 6 is fair.
Okay, Alex?
I'm going to be positive and give him a 7.
Well, I don't think we're being negative giving him a 6, Alex. I just think he's playing his way back to match fitness. 6, 7, potatoes, whatever.
I mean, yeah. No, I'm not saying that you'll get. Yeah, okay, that's maybe my mistake. I'm not saying that you're being negative and giving him a 6. I want to be slightly
I'm
more.
just
positive.
stating that we're not, Alex, because I know a lot of people think over the top negativity sometimes from this channel, which we're not.
But it's important to point out, and we've mentioned, me and Billy have specifically, I think we said this in the podcast, that whenever he's come back from injury or from rest or niggles or whatever it was, like 2 or 3 years. He's been so rusty, so rusty. He takes ages. If he's tired or if he's coming back, he's just so rusty. Whereas the last 2 appearances, no rustiness. He's been so careful, controlled, calm. Yeah. He looks maturer than he was at the back end of last season. We've not got that raw, explosive ability that we saw, but I think that will come. He's got to work himself into that. He was really careful, and we saw a couple of real cheeky long balls that he tried that had got some crazy whip and curve on him. Like he's a way better passer of the ball than I think anybody gives him credit for. He's got some really interesting passing technique. Yeah. I'm going to give him a 7 just based on that. I think come in those conditions, you're the only sub that comes on in the entire game, the only offensive player on the bench.
Yeah, but the 2 times he's come on, Alex, since he's returned from injury have been in monsoons. Very difficult situations for him
and then you also factor that in as well. Yeah, he's coming back in those kinds of conditions away to try and, I really like the performance. It was refreshing, and I think he's matured a little bit. He's potentially gone away and learnt a lot with his layoff as well. You'd imagine he's probably worked on himself and his game, and I'm really excited to see him back. Really, really excited.
Ian Fleming, thanks for your £5 super chat. He says the Toon review a 10. Thank you very much, Ian. Really kind, buddy. Right, finally, Edward Howe. Alex.
I mean, I guess the thing that people are going to be stating is people want more subs. I mean, the starting 11 picks itself. Willock was an obvious sub to make. So I'm going to give him a 7 based on that. And then, yeah. I mean, he couldn't do a lot more. He tried to get us back into the game. We could have won the game, but, it is what it is. He's not the reason we conceded from that corner, and he's not the reason why we conceded that second goal. I mean, they weren't sort of coaching errors in shape or anything. It was just, it happens sometimes. He didn't tell 5 players to slide at bloody what's his face, did he? It's just one of those. I'll give him a 7.
Well, I'm going with a 6 because I think I'm disappointed he didn't bring on other substitutes. I know he's saying his hands were tied with subs, but Livramento should have been on the pitch for a good half an hour in that second half for me, and possibly Target as well on the other flank should have maybe come on, or even Lewis Hall for that matter. But steady away 6, Billy.
Yeah, I'm not sure Miggy was the man I took off either. If I was perfectly honest, I thought he probably looked okay at that point.
Well, maybe that means he starts on Wednesday.
Potentially. I think he will, because I don't see who else plays there unless he plays Matt Ritchie, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. His team picked itself. You saw the state of the subs bench. I mean, apart from Willock, you bring Hall, Livramento, Target, all fullbacks, and you don't really want to bring anyone else to the subs on, and 2 goalkeepers. It's really, really hamstrung with the squad he's got at the minute with the injuries. I'll give him a 6.
Okay.
I mean, you've got to factor in that Tonali's not his fault. That's not mismanagement of squad rotation.
Yeah.
So you've got to factor in that is completely out of his control. So theoretically, and obviously we did think that Tonali was going to be able to play this game. They ripped the carpet from under our feet, didn't they, with this late announcement? So squad management on the whole, we've talked about Trippier versus Livramento and managing minutes. You can't judge him on the Tonali thing. That's not fair. Because in this game, theoretically, he has 2 midfield changes he could make, but he's not been able to because of that ban. So we can talk about squad rotation to a level, but then the Tonali thing's not in his control really. So do we win that game if Tonali's available?
Maybe. Who knows? We will never know. But that is it for tonight, guys. Thank you very, very much for watching the match review with us. Obviously, these match reviews, they go over the hour mark because, we do the player ratings, and Alex likes to, delve into the stats, which I'm not criticizing, by the way. It's enjoyable because we hear
about. There's been a couple of knocks on stats tonight, by the way, guys. If you don't like stats, that's fair enough. But you've got to remember, whether you like it or not, every club in the world uses data to instigate their transfers, to recruit, to play. So
exactly,
if you don't like them, it's up to you.
No, but it's good to know the stats. That's why he is known as Stato, because he brings that side of it to the player ratings, which we love. So let's have a look. Mighty Mag says, great show, everyone. The Ruffian Bernician says, thanks, guys. Good night, Julie. Thank you. Good review, says Paul Tully. Lots of positives. So thank you very much for all your comments. We will be back, of course, at 7 o'clock tomorrow night with the match preview for the Manchester United game. And any latest news that we bring you.
Get your pumpkins in.
Get your pumpkins in. Send us to them on Twitter, Instagram, email them to me.
Just pumpkins is not a euphemism.
Get some pumpkins in for Halloween, based on the 3 of us. What did you say there?
I don't know. Billy giggled at pumpkins, and I'm trying to think. Surely that's not
get your pumpkins in.
Get your pumpkins
maybe
in. Get pumpkins in. So thank you for that in advance, guys.
Big shout out to the mods, by the way. Fantastic set of mods. Do the job perfectly.
Our mods are the best mods in the world. Simple as that. They are the best mods in the world. They don't bitch about other channels. They don't put negative comments in. So we just have the best mods because they're wonderful. So thank you to them. Please do stick a like. What are we at? 370. Come on, guys. please do hit that thumbs up button before you leave the stream. Let's see if we can get it up to 500 because it really does help in the algorithms, etc. on YouTube. If you are new and you've enjoyed what you've seen, please do subscribe. It is free to do so. Thank you so much for that. And of course, don't forget to hit the notification bell, which lets you know when we go live or we upload any videos. Graham White, thank you for your £2 super chat. Night lads, here's £2 for elastoplasts for the hand, Paul. Thank you very much. I do need them. It's slightly bruised, actually. Become a member. Hit the join button. You can, of course, keep a thanks button. Donate to the channel by hitting the thanks button, even when we're not on air. We are going up on, it will be on iTunes, Spotify, and all good podcasts round about half an hour to an hour after the actual show. What else is there? Follow us on all our socials as well. We will be back tomorrow night at 7. We have the watch along at 8 o'clock on Wednesday with kickoff at 8:15 with me and Billy Bob, of course, and probably halftime analysis from Mr. Stato and full-time analysis. And then, of course, they will do an instant reaction over on Patreon. Thursday night, we'll do the match review. Friday night is another match preview. Actually, when is the game next weekend? Is it Sunday against Arsenal?
Saturday, R5 again.
Oh, okay. Well, God, it's coming thick and fast, guys, isn't it? It's going absolutely mental. But anyway, thank you, everybody. Thank you to Billy and Alex. Have you got something to say, Alex?
Well, it was just about transfer shows. We had a lot of people turn their nose up at Xavi Simons, and he's come 6th in the Copper Trophy. So the Golden Boy Award, he's 6th in the world. So, and he's absolutely tearing it up.
Yeah, we will do a few transfer shows again during the next international break. But at the minute, we just don't have time to put them in because there's so many games going on. So thank you very much for watching, guys. We will see you tomorrow night. Have a good one. Take care.
How are the mods and modettes?
Come back and check on some breathing.
Ah!